Your count's early. Hey, I've got a treat for you today. We're talking about knowing your audience and when they need you. And I just talked Tom into actually doing a real situation with me. We're going to help Tom figure out how and what to say in a video together. All that and more on episode 926 of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote provides an opportunity for business owners and leaders to discover what is real for them and to be impacted by what is real for others. That is the Renegade way. Let's get real. We all face challenges and get stuck occasionally and are looking for an antidote. Each weekday, this show dives into a topic that may have you stuck, frustrated, and uncertain. Our goal is to share our value in an effort to help you find that one thing, the antidote to your challenges, so that you can get results and make more money. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom, good morning.
Good morning, Bob. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good now. I was kind of worried about this episode, but now I talked you into, not really talked you into, just suggested a way to go about it, and we're gonna rock and roll. So I'm excited.
Great.
Come on, you should be excited too.
I'm always excited to do this show.
We're killing two birds with one stone this morning. We were talking about this topic.
Do you want? I'd rather prefer not to kill any birds.
Touche. Do you want to talk? Do you want to explain to us where we are in terms of what we're going to try to accomplish in this episode?
Sure. I think that our topic for today is knowing your audience. Actually, for this week, and yesterday, we were talking about what they need, knowing your audience and knowing what they need, and then today our topic is when they need you, and it's really about like the timing around things and how do you put yourself in front of people and having an understanding of when they might need what you have to offer. And so
they might need in that situation, right?
Correct.
It's not just being in front of them the right time, it's also the right whatever so that it resonates.
Correct. What product or service or good. And that they might be like, wow, I've been thinking about this and this is what I need. And so, as we were talking before, there's a conference this week for nonprofit professionals in Maryland. And because I do a lot of work with the organization that's running it, I decided to sponsor.
And you're passionate about nonprofits.
Correct.
You do a lot of work with nonprofits. That's your background. So this is not a stretch by any means.
No. And so I decided to become an exhibitor. So I have a table and, do the standard, although not the standard. So we're trying to not figure out. So one of the benefits is
you glossed over that. Walk through that real quickly. You just said do the standard and then you said not the standard. Why is it? Let's talk about that.
When you think about exhibitors at conferences or conventions,
trade shows tied to a conference, the tables outside the meeting rooms.
And what you typically see is somebody standing there and they've got some piece of candy or whatever or some giveaway that's drawing you to their table. And many times as a past participant of conferences like this and a past vendor, the attendees sort of try to stay at a little more than arm's length, sort of cautiously try to figure out what you do, what you offer,
or what you're giving away,
That
swag, what can I take home to my kids, or what can I actually put in my car, what can I use in my office? Yes.
To decide if it is worth walking over to the table and knowing that you're going to have to listen to some spiel,
or give your business card,
and they make that cautious decision. Is it worth what I have to give up or what I have to deal with to go over there? Because I'm sure we've all been there, and you're like, how many times have you got caught at one of those tables where they start giving you a spiel and you're stuck? And all you want to do is walk over and find, because usually these things happen during like cocktail hours or receptions, and
Or
all you want
between
to,
sessions,
right, and all
and
you
you
want to
just want to
do
get a
is
glass of water and,
correct,
check your email on your phone, and now you've got to walk by these people to find the bathroom.
correct, because they are always
Positioned perfectly.
yes, to be in the way, really. And so, we have the opportunity because there's a virtual session today. And they have an app that they use, like many conventions and conferences are using. And so I have the opportunity to send all the participants a video or an email. And so we were talking about that, and Bob reminded me that.
Well, share what you said.
So what I said was, Bob asked me what did I wanted to say. And so what I said was, well, I want to let them know that I'm thankful for being a part of happy to sponsor the event, understand the value of nonprofits, that there will be a table, and that we'd love to have you come over.
I think I stopped you there.
About there.
With a pretty passionate stop that we won't go into now.
Yes, Bob used an expletive about, if I see one more of these videos where it's the same old. And then he said the phrase that was probably most key. Is that really the renegade way?
And for those of you who don't know what a renegade is someone who's carving their own unique pathway to success. So the unique part is the key here. What I would challenge you, and you consented to actually talking through this now, which is great, because I think it's a great case study. And who knows, we might get someone who offers us an example or a suggestion. But to me, the whole idea of being a renegade is not doing what everyone's always done. There's an opportunity here to stand out in the crowd, to demonstrate the leadership that I think you want to demonstrate to this organization by not doing the same old presentation. So I'll give you an example. I was a participant in a workshop or a national event 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I was going to speak. And I said to the organizer, what's your biggest challenge? And she said it was getting the vendors to see value in the trade show. And I said, how about if I shoot a video to send to all of them with some tips for how to do their exhibit so that they might get more interest? She's like, oh, that'd be amazing. Rather than do a welcoming video like everyone else, I did a video that was 10 suggestions on how to make your booth be more valuable, I think it was. Instead of standing behind the table, stand in front of the table. And some other tips like that. And the response to that was I walked through a trade show the second day, and you're the guy on the video. Look at my table. Look at my table. I did what you said. So there's an example of being a renegade at the trade show. And there were 40, 50 exhibitors. They all had the same video. We're Shady Acres Lumber Company. We're so thrilled to be at show number 47, blah, blah, blah. And I'll bet you very few people watch those. There were, I think, 57 exhibitors, and 51 of them looked at the video because I was able to track it. So not only did it work for them, it gave them value, but it gave me value because I was willing to try something different. And that's what I would challenge you to do, because it's an opportunity to demonstrate the leadership that you're trying to demonstrate within that organization. And I think that's one of the things I've come to realize about these organizations. Being a leader isn't just giving them the donation and doing what everyone's done. Being a leader is doing things in a way that creates additional value to those people. So what could you do? What are some of the thoughts that you could do with this video? I'm assuming it's a couple minutes long, right? It's not going to be like 45 minutes. It's going to be like 2-3 minutes at the most.
At the most. So so what I came up with in the meantime, from hearing your say that phrase till now, thinking about it differently, I think there are two things that I think would add value.
Okay.
One is I think that the conference is all about leadership in nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at, and I had applied to be a speaker and I didn't get it, which is okay. There are a lot of good topics out there. And I think one of the topics that's not covered is sort of the mental side of leadership and how being a leader, especially in a nonprofit, can seem very lonely. And I actually have a article that I've written about leadership loneliness and how, actually about decision making, because I think that's the other thing. One is loneliness and two is decision making. And so I think that, and I could say that here's a bonus session that you can come by and pick up, and I'll have hard copies of that article to help them make decisions more confidently, because I think that's one of the things. So I think that's one option. So that would be for leaders in the space.
Can we break that down, since we're talking about knowing your audience when they need it? Help go through that. Break that literally down. What do you know about your audience that makes that seem like it might be a good fit?
Well, I think the challenge for most nonprofits, they aren't large. That's one of the biggest challenges. It's like small businesses, they don't have a ton of resources. And so many times the leaders in the organization don't have peers. It's not like when I worked at a college, I had a lot of peers who were directors in the development shop. And so when I had challenges, I could go and talk to them about that. So
and when you had successes, you could celebrate with them.
Correct. I could also do that. And so that made the role feel a lot less lonely. Well, in the nonprofit space, they don't have that. And so as the executive director or the head of development or head of programs, you don't have a lot of, you can't go to your boss and be like, hey, I've got this question. I'm not really certain about this decision I'm trying to make, because they're going to be like, well, we hired you to be the expert.
Right.
And you can't go to your team because your team is looking to you for direction and decision making, because they have their own challenges they're trying to adjust. And I think if you go to them, they'll feel like, well, how can I even go to this person, because they can't make their own decisions. And so it can be a very lonely space, and making decisions can be challenging because you only have your perspective to consider and your knowledge and your experience. And so having another way to make decisions can definitely help the leadership feel less lonely.
Okay, that's what they need. That makes perfect sense to me. Now I'm going to really throw you here.
Okay. I had another thought too, but okay. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. On that?
No, on another value.
We'll come to that. I want to break this one down. So today our topic is knowing your audience when they need you. Is the workshop on Friday or in the next 3 days, as they're going through this, the time that they want to think about their loneliness, are in a position to deal with it, and want to watch a video from you around it? And I'm not asking that like I think no or yes. We're talking about when you need this. And to me, a busy conference week, I'm not lonely this week if I'm a nonprofit professional, because I'm at this conference. I'm with all my peers. I'm getting new ideas. I'm doing that. So while that might be the issue that they face in the office, is that the issue they face this week? And how might you position this in a way that it's valuable to them when they need it? Because my thought is, oh, great. I've, a handout about loneliness. Let me put it in my briefcase next to all the other junk I'm going to take from this conference, put it back next to my desk, and never open it up. And I'm being brutally honest, because this is, you and I do this with a lot of things. This is how we get to some of the ideas that we get to, because we think through it to this level that, well, wait, no, that's a great idea. I love your idea. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great idea. But is it the time and place that they have a need for it? Personally, I don't think so. But maybe that space more than me.
No, I would agree. I mean, unless they were already feeling it walking into it, and they were thinking that they were going to get some solutions to decision making as a leader from the conference, and it might not be one of the things that are offered. I think there's another option.
Okay.
So I think the other thing that is always challenging at conferences, and you go and there's all these great sessions and there's all these vendors and you get a lot of information and you start to think about all the things you can do. I have binders and notebooks in my space of all the conferences I have attended with all the really great ideas.
Notes next to the agenda items, one by one. Got to follow
Correct.
up with this person, do this, do that. Yep.
And I would imagine that probably of all of those things, maybe 25% of them ever got done or
you're
started.
the most optimistic person I know. I was going to say 3%.
Okay.
80% get lost on the way home.
Fair.
Another
or never get looked at
15% you
again.
can't read your notes or find your notes. That leaves you about 3 to 5%.
Right. And so it's hard when you have all of these things to consider choosing what you might actually take on. So I could offer them 3 tips or 5 tips on making decisions about what you might actually try to implement from what you've learned.
I like that. I have another idea to throw at you. This would be a little more investment of time and effort, but what if you offered them a half-hour coaching session where they could talk through those ideas and prioritize them and make some sense? Because I find I go to the conference, I get all these ideas, they're jumbled in my head. I go back to the office and I might talk to my boss, or in this case with the nonprofits, the founder or the board, and it's a jumble because they weren't there. They don't know what you're talking about. You're like, oh, we got to do this. And oh, there's this new thing, TikTok, and it's really great. We should be on TikTok. And they're like, what is this TikTok thing? Because they weren't there. So maybe you being the outlet for them to process that would be useful for them. And it would be useful for you because you work with them. It would be an opportunity for them to try what you do.
And to get to know, like, and trust, maybe.
Correct. So that would be, so the video to me might be something more along the lines of, hey, I know you're probably bubbling with ideas and thoughts and you're a jumble right now. I don't want to add to it. I actually want to help you with that situation because I think that ultimately is the thing they need most in the days after this. And that would be, if I saw that video, I'd be like, wow, this guy might, free half hour. That's not the worst thing in the world. I can probably book that. And you have a link for them to book a time in the next 2 weeks. And I think it would also be something you could say at the trade show on Friday to them.
Sure.
Hey, how's it going so far? My head's swimming. But you should say that. I was talking about that with someone just the other day. Hey, I've got this thing I'd love to offer you. Now, it's time intensive for you because, if 20 people take advantage of that, you're using 10 hours of your life. But like you said, they have an opportunity to get to know, like, and trust you. It's also, to me, what they need, and doing it next week or the week after is when they need it.
Yeah.
And I think that might be if you try to put something in front of them that's about the now this week, they're out of the office. What, they're doing a virtual thing today, and Friday they're out of the office for most of the day. I don't know very many people that can take 2 days out of the office in a week and not have some sort of, that sounds really great, but I don't have time. But if you could sequence it, and also if you could send a follow-up email to them next Monday or Tuesday saying, hey, just want to remind you, now you're back. You're probably trying to remember where you put your notes. I'd love to chat with you, see what you found valuable. Right?
Yeah.
I
think that, it's funny because I think we always think about what others need. We don't always think about when they need it. And I think that was a good reframe to help me think about, this other thing is valuable to them and yet not necessarily valuable to them in the moment. And they may not as you say, they may not have the time to digest it all.
Right. Or the mental capacity.
Sure.
To just like that's wow, that really it. My thought is it's either the deal with it right this minute or you put it on the pile. And if it goes on the pile, odds are it's going in the trash can. You know, a bottle of water is really valuable to a person in the desert. If you're at a pool and they've got all kinds of beverages, a bottle of water may or may not be valuable to you.
Sure.
And at the pool, the bottle of water could be valuable if you say, hey, you know what? I've got this bottle of water for you. I'm going to put it over here because the pool closes at 9:30 tonight. And around 11 o'clock, after you've had a couple of beverages of your choice, you're going to be really thirsty. So I'll just leave it there for you. Suddenly at 11:30, that bottle of water is really valuable. It wasn't all day.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things I'm seeing more and more about what I do with people. It's the when they need it that can be really the key to success. That's why you see a lot of marketing. That's why Geico spends a couple $1 billion a year to be on every sports event, so that the moment you need insurance, they want you to think about Geico. So they're willing to take the long game, which is we're just going to pound the message to you over and over and over. On that day you need insurance, we want you to have us top of mind. Because for 363 days of the year, you're not thinking about it. But
right.
The day your rate goes up and you're ticked off about it, oh, I got to call Geico. So it's when you need it that's critical. It might be even more important to me in some ways than what you need. True. Being at the right place at the right time, because the discussion, you might find in a discussion next week with one of these nonprofit leaders that they need to talk through it, and what they need from you is completely different than what you thought they needed from you, but you can adapt to the what part more easily than the when part, right?
Well, it's like yesterday, right? We were talking about knowing your audience and what they need. Is that if we can make assumptions, and those assumptions can be incorrect, and then we're completely off base. So taking the time to actually be there when they need help, and then trying to understand what they need at that moment can be really valuable.
So let's model this another step. Since we've gotten this far, it sounds like you've got a pretty good idea. How are we going to gauge the success of this? When next week we come back to this in an episode somehow, some way, what's the measurement of success that you're comfortable with? Because often this is the other piece of this that you and I know that people struggle with.
Sure.
They don't. Well, either everyone took me up on the offer, I talked to 61 people about it, and 61 people did it, or no one did it. There's no middle ground. So what would be a barometer that we could use so that you could feel like this might be an approach to take advantage of in the future?
So I think having 10 people schedule an appointment.
Okay. Out of how many? Do you know how many people are attending?
200, probably, something like that.
Okay, so that would be 5%.
Which is probably about a typical response to any sort of general outreach, right? Then if you send an email out and you get 5%, that who either open and or respond, especially if they respond, that's a pretty, I think, effective return on investment. I think
you will talk about this Friday when you're in front of them at the table, correct?
Well, so here's the thing I was thinking about with that is that provides the opportunity for a couple of things. So there's the video today at the start of the conference, and hey, you're going to be overwhelmed.
And that's where, just in my mind, I'm thinking that's where the 5% would come from. Just the video. If you were just doing that video, that 5%, the 10 people would make perfect sense. What I'm thinking through is you've got this opportunity Friday to be in front of them, so that 5%, that 10 people might seem low to me.
So maybe let's take it up to 20 people.
That's
20 calls.
Or what I would say is 20 substantive discussions, because it could very well be that Friday at the event, you're talking to someone. And
Sure.
because you make the offer, you might have 10 minutes. You might be with that person. They're going to, you know what, I'll skip the next session because I really want to talk through this now. So you might get some in the moment. So I would say 20 substantive discussions. That would be 10% of the crowd. And that to me would say, wow, that was really an approach that's worth considering.
Right.
So for you folks that have watched this is a lot like how Tom and I coach. What's the situation? Let's talk through it. Let's analyze the situation from some different perspectives. You saw a minute ago that Tom was comfortable with 10 people, and I kind of prodded him a little bit to go a little further because I think being a renegade, part of what drives results is challenging things to go to that next level. And if Tom had set the goal at 10, he said it himself. 10% is the normal response to an email campaign. I wanted to make it a little harder, not harder in that he can't achieve it, but harder in the sense that Friday he will have more discussions. And it's not just him because I'll be there too. So I'm a party to this, which is great. And the other part of it was looking at the situation because Tom started this with a really simple, hey, I need to record a video. Oh, what are you going to say? Same old boring stuff. Tom, come on. You're a renegade. Let's talk through this. And I think that's one of the things that if you're wondering where coaching can have a value, I think it's having that person that can say to you, not with that's the stupidest idea in the world. I mean, I kind of did that with Tom before the program, but we have a good rapport. And some of my clients, I would say the same thing. Like, really? Wow. I don't know why that'll really excite people. And they go, oh, you're right. But I think that can be really powerful in terms of challenging us to do things in different ways. And it doesn't mean this is going to work. There's no guarantee. This might, we might come back next week and be like, well, that was a really huge, colossal waste of time and effort. I can't believe we went down that road. However, what you will learn from that is, okay, here are the things that may have worked or here are the things that may not have worked. And you can use that to inform the next decision. You wouldn't have gotten to this place if we hadn't been talking about renegades for the last couple of years, if we hadn't agreed kind of between you and me that we're not going to just do the same old thing.
Right.
Can you hear the lawnmower in the background?
No.
Oh, man, this is a great microphone because I am going deaf here. It is literally right outside my window. Any closing thoughts on this, Tom? How do you feel having gone through this? Because you had a little trepidation at the beginning on this.
No, it's good. And it actually has helped me think even of some other ways to tie it in. Because in some ways, the interesting question, I think, is they don't know necessarily they're going to be overwhelmed right now. So maybe there's the opportunity to do a couple of videos, and that the first one today would be, hey, we got there's 2 full days of an agenda. How can you not get overwhelmed? If the theme is about being overwhelmed and making decisions, how can you not get overwhelmed as you go through the day? And here's 3 tips to go through the day. And if you find something that you're really excited about and not sure about it, come talk about us. If there's a concept that you're like, I don't know how I could implement this into my work, I have set aside time and a link that they can sign up for that day to have conversation. So that might be that message. And then do that again on Friday. And then at the end of the day, right away, send them an email that says, hey, you know what? I'm sure your head is spinning with all the information and the ideas and thoughts that you have. How will you decide which of those you're going to do and implement? And if you're struggling with that, I've set aside some time next week to talk to people about how to implement all the things that they would like to and to prioritize them, because you can't do them all at once. So I think that's the even further breakdown of when they need, what they need when they need it.
What I like about that is so often when I'm coaching someone, we move to a place where they're doing something that's a little outside of what they've always done. And it sparks a creativity in them that we just saw with you, that your voice was, you had a passion for what you're doing. It's like, well, if I do that, then I can do this and I can do this and I can do this. And notice the smile on his face. That is, to me, if you want to know why I like coaching, it's for that moment when the person's like, well, if I do this thing, then this will fall into place and this and this and this.
The light bulb starts to go off and It makes a whole difference. Like I was sort of, I have to do this video.
You literally said that. That was the first sign to me, like, wow, this isn't like Tom. I mean, I got to do this video. Wow, boring.
Now I want to do the video.
Right. And the three other things that align with
part of it.
And so you went from I've got to find time to do this really boring thing to I'm excited to do this, I would argue, a little more complex thing and something you've never done before. And now you've tacked on three other things, and all in the service of what your audience wants and what they need and when they need it. That was the thing to me that you really start, well, if I do this today, I can do this Friday and then this next week. And I set aside time this way. And I think we don't think about as much when they need it.
Right.
The roofing company is really valuable when the wind blows the roof, shingles off. Not so much other times a year. Yeah, you could get it done, but you're not thinking about it.
Sure.
The glass repair business for your car, really valuable after the hailstorm. Puts dings in your windshield. So, folks, I hope this was valuable to you. You saw a couple things. You saw one, how sparks lead. Oh, Beth's with us. My sister Beth. Good morning, Bob and Tom. Like when I'm first. Great topic today. Enjoy your day. Yes, Beth, enjoy your day as well. It was fun because I wasn't on the hot seat today, so that's always a good thing. But you saw a real example today of how coaching works. And if you've thought about coaching and wondered, what's it like? They're going to tell me I'm wrong. They're going to tell me I'm silly. That's not what it is at all. And that's what Tom and I are doing in our Get Real, Get Results, Make More Money program. It's really about helping you figure out what you can do and how you can be a renegade. And Tom being renegade wasn't like, let me do something completely crazy, which often is what people think about with renegades. But how can I sort of challenge myself to look at things in new ways to provide new value to the people I'm trying to serve? And I think that's at the core of it. With all the people that Tom and I coach, it's about how can you provide the value you want to provide to people in ways that they understand it, appreciate it, and want to invest their time and effort into it. So if that's something you've struggled with, hey, trust me, you're not alone. Here's Tom, the coach, and he struggles with parts of it. I'll let you know. I'm Bob. I struggle with it. Usually Tom does what we did just now with me before, after the show. So have a discussion with Tom or me. Tom's going to be busy for the next 2 weeks, but no, I'm kidding. He will be happy to talk to you. I'm also around. We'd love to talk to you about what that might look like for you. Feel free to share with us what the challenge is that you're facing, because sometimes it's just acknowledging what that challenge is that starts that path to excitement that you saw in Tom a couple of minutes ago. So you can contact Tom or me, direct message us, find us in the phone book. I don't know if we're in the phone book. I don't even know if you can find a phone book. Or go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. You will thank yourself.
Absolutely. All right, everyone, go out and enjoy your day. We will see you soon.
Hey, whatever you do, we got Tom to do it, so you should do it as well. Embrace the renegade in you. It is so worth it. It sparks such creativity.
Absolutely. And, if you're listening to the podcast, you couldn't see my smile. Hopefully you could hear the excitement in my voice. And Bob definitely got excited, which was good. We would encourage your thoughts and ideas on this. So you can always join us in our Sculpt Your Business from Chaos and Confusion to Confidence and Control on Facebook, where you can share your thoughts and ideas and gain from the thoughts and ideas of others. So we look forward to seeing you in that group. If not, we will see you. We won't see you tomorrow morning. Wednesday is our day off. So we'll see you Thursday morning, 7 a.m. ish Eastern time for our next episode of today's Antidote.
I already said embrace the renegading you. I can't do it again. That'll be like double embracing.
All right. Everyone go out and enjoy your day.